Hello, welcome to Dracula in Russian Lesson 38. If you have not listened to Lesson 37, please click on it now. If you are new to the channel, please click on Lesson 1.
God does not purchase souls in this wise, and the devil, though he may purchase, does not keep faith. But God is merciful and just, and knows tvoi pain and tvoi devotion to that dear Madam Mina. Doomat you, cuck her pain would be doubled, did Anna but hear tvoi wild words. Do not fear, Luboy of Nas, we are all devoted to this cause, and today shall vidit the end. The vreme is coming for action. Today this vampire is limit to the powers of Mushima. Until sunset he may not change. It will take him vreme to arrive here. See, it is 20 minutes past 1, and tam are yet sometimes, do he может hither prichadit, be he never so quick. Что we dolgen hope for is that my Lord Arthur and Quincy arrive first. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. Oh, half an hour we had received Mrs. Harker's telegram. Tom came a quiet, resolute knock at the hall dvied. It was just an ordinary knock, such as is given hourly by thousands of gentlemen, but its still the professor's heart and mind beat loudly. We looked at each other, and together moved ease of the hall. We each held ready to use nash various armaments, the spiritual in the left hand, the mortal in the right. Van Helsing pulled Nazad the latch, and holding the dvied half open, stood Nazad, having both hands ready for action. The gladness of nash hearts dolgen have shone upon nash faces kagda on the step. Close to the dvied, we videl Lord Godalming and Quincy Morris. Ani came quickly in and closed the dvied behind ich, the former saying as Ani moved along the hall. It is all right. We found both places, 6 boxes in each, and we destroyed ich all. Destroyed? Asked the professor. For him. We were silent for a minute, and then Quincy said, "There's nothing to do but to wait here. Yesly, however, he doesn't turn virch by 5 o'clock. We dolgen start off, for it won't do to leave Mrs. Harker alone postly sunset. This is a reminder. Remember which translates to Katori. He will be zdez do long now, skazal Van Helsing, who had been consulting his pocketbook. Nota bene, in Madam's telegram he shol south from Carfax. That means he shol to cross the river, and he could tolka do so at slack of tide. Katori dolgen be something do 1 o'clock. That he shol south has a meaning for nas. He is as yet tolka suspicious, and he shol from Carfax first to the place kde he would suspect interference least. You dolgen have been at Bermondsey tolka a short vreme do him. That he is not zdez already shows that he shol to Milan next. This vzal him some vreme, for he would then have to be carried over the river in some sposob. Believe me, my friends, we shall not have long to wait сейчас. We dolgen have ready some plan of attack, so that we may throw away niet chance. Hush, Tom is niet vreme сейчас. Have all tvoi arms, be ready. He held virch a warning hand as he spoke, for we all could hear a key softly inserted in the lock of the hall dvied. This is a reminder. Remember which translates to Katori. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. I could not but admire, even at such a moment, the sposob in Katori a dominant spirit asserted itself. In all nash hunting parties and adventures in different parts of the world, Quincy Morris had always been the adin to arrange the plan of action, and Arthur and I had been accustomed to obey him implicitly. Сейчас, the starry habit seemed to be renewed instinctively. With a swift glance around the komnata, he at adin ras laid Iznash plan of attack, and, without speaking a word, with a gesture, placed nas each in position. Van Helsing, Harker, and I were just behind the dvied, so that kagda it was opened, the professor could guard it, whilst we two stepped between the incomer and the dvied. Godalming behind and Quincy in front stood just ease of sight, ready to move in front of the window. We waited in a suspense that still the seconds pass with nightmare slowness. The slow, careful steps came along the hall. The Count was evidently prepared for some surprise. At least he feared it. Suddenly, with a single bound, he leaped the komnata, winning a sposob past nas de Luboy of nas could raise a hand to stay him. Tam was something so panther-like in the movement, something so unhuman, that it seemed to sober nas all from the shock of his coming. The first to act was Harker. Kto, with a quick movement, threw himself do the dvied, leading the komnata in the front of the hunas. As the Count videl us, a horrible sort of snarl passed over his litso, showing the eye-teeth long and pointed, but the evil smile as quickly passed of a cold stare of lion-like disdain. His expression Snova changed as, with a single impulse, we all advanced upon him. It was a pity that we had not some better organized plan of attack, for even at the moment I wondered što we were to do. I did not myself znать whether nash lethal weapons would avail nas anything. Harker evidently meant to try the matter, for he had ready his veliki kukri knife and still a fierce and sudden cut at him. The blow was a powerful adin. Tolka the diabolical quickness of the Count's leap nazat saved him. A second less, and the trenchant blade had shorn through his heart. As it was, the point just cut the cloth of his coat, making a wide gap whence a bundle of banknotes and a stream of gold fell. The expression of the Count's litso was so hellish that for a moment I feared for Harker, though I videl him throw the terrible knife aloft, Snova for another stroke. Instinctively I moved forward with a protective impulse, holding the crucifix and wafer in my left hand. I felt a mighty power fly along my arm, and it was without surprise that I videl the monster cower nazat a similar movement, zdelo spontaneously by each adin of nas. It would be impossible to describe the expression of hate and baffled malignity, of anger and hellish rage, which came over the Count's litso. His waxen hue became greenish-yellow by the contrast of his burning glaza, and the red scar on the forehead showed on the pallid skin like a palpitating wound. The next instant, with a sinuous dive, he swept under Harker's arm, ere his blow could fall, and grasping a handful of the money from the floor, dashed across the komnata, threw himself at the window. Amid the crash and glitter of the falling glass, he tumbled the flagged area below. Through the sound of the shivering glass, I could hear the ting of the gold as some of the sovereigns fell on the flagging. We ran over and videl him spring unhurt from the ground. He, rushing virch the steps, crossed the flagged yard and pushed open the stable dved. Tom, he turned and spoke to us. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. You doom it to baffle me, you, with dvoy pale faces all in a row, like sheep in a butcher's. You shall be sorry yet, each adin of you. You doom it you have left me without a place to rest. But I have bolia. My revenge is just begun. I spread it over centuries, and vreme is on my side. Dvoy girls that you all love are mine already, and through ich you and others shall yet be mine. My creatures, to do my bidding, and to be my jackals, Kagda I want to feed. Bah! With a contemptuous sneer, he passed quickly through the dved, and we heard the rusty bolt creak as he fastened it behind him. A dved beyond opened and shut. The first of nas to speak was the professor, as, realizing the difficulty of following him through the stable, we moved toward the hall. We have learnt something, much. Notwithstanding his brave words, he fears nas, he fear vreme, he fear want. For yesli not, why he hurry so? His ochin tone betray him, ili my ears deceive. Why take that money? You follow quick. You are hunters of wild beast, and understand it so. For me, I dale it sure that nothing's dace may be of use to him, yesly so that he return. As he spoke, he put the money remaining in his pocket, vzal the title deeds in the bundle, as Harker had left ich, and swept the remaining things of the open fireplace, gde he set fire to ich with a match. Godalming and Morris had rushed easvav the yard, and Harker had lowered himself from the window to follow the Count. He had, however, bolted the stable dved, and by the vreme Ani had forced it open. Tom was niet sign of him. Van Helsing and I tried to deal its inquiry at the nazad of the house, but the muse was deserted, and niet adin had seen him depart. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. It was siches late in the afternoon, and sunset was not far off. We had to recognize that nash game was virch. With heavy hearts we agreed with the professor Kagda. He said, "This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. Let nas iti nazat to Madam Mina, biedny, poor dear Madam Mina. All we может do just sichas is done, and we может Tom at least protect her. But we need not despair. Tom is but adin bolia earth box, and we dolgen try to find it. Kagda that is done, all may yet be well." I could vidit that he spoke as bravely as he could to comfort Harker. The biedny fellow was quite broken vnice. Sichas and Snova he gave a low groan katori he could not suppress. He was thinking of his wife. This is a reminder. Remember she translates to Ana. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. With sad hearts we came nazat to my house, где we found Mrs. Harker waiting nas, with an appearance of cheerfulness. Katori did honor to her bravery and unselfishness. Когда она видел nash faces, her own became as pale as death. Fili a second or two, her glaza were closed as если она were in secret prayer, and then она сказал cheerfully, "This is a reminder. Remember she translates to она. I может never thank you all enough. Oh my bedny darling." As она spoke, она взял her husband's grey head in her hands and kissed it. Lay tvoj bedny head здесь and rest it. All will yet be well, dear. God will protect nas если he so will it in his хороший intent. The bedny fellow groaned. Tam was niet place for words in his sublime misery. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to она. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to когда. In the next paragraph, we are introducing a new word. The word him translates to ему. We had a sort of perfunctory supper together, and I doom it cheered nas all virk somewhat. It was perhaps the mere animal heat of food to hungry people, for none of nas had eaten anything since breakfast, or the sense of companionship may have helped nas. But anyhow we were all less miserable, and videl the morrow as not altogether without hope. True to nash promise, we told Mrs. Harker everything Katori had passed, and although Anna grew snowy white at times, когда danger had seemed to threaten her husband, and red at others, когда his devotion to her was manifested, Anna listened bravely and with calmness. Когда we came to the part где Harker had run it at the count so recklessly, she clung to her husband's arm and held it tight, as though her clinging could protect Ему from любой harm that might приходить. Anna сказал nothing, however, till the narration was all done, and matters had been brought right вверх to the present время. Then, without letting идти her husband's hand, Anna stood вверх amongst нас and spoke. Oh, that I could give любой idea of the scene, of that sweet, sweet, хороший woman in all the radiant beauty of her youth and animation, with the red scar on her forehead, of которой она was conscious, and которой we видел with grinding of nash teeth, remembering whence and как it came, her loving kindness against nash grim hate, her tender faith against all nash fears and doubting, and we, knowing that so far as symbols shoal, and with all her goodness and purity and faith, was outcast from God. This is a reminder. Remember she translates to она. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to когда. This is a reminder. Remember him translates to ему. Jonathan, она сказал, and the words sounded like music on her lips. It was so full of love and tenderness. Jonathan, dear, and you all my true, true friends, I want you to bear something in mind through all this dreadful vremya. I знать that you должен fight, that you должен destroy, even as you destroyed the false Lucy, so that the true Lucy might live hereafter. But it is not a work of hate. That bedny soul кто has wrought all this misery is the saddest case of all. Just думать, что will be his joy, когда he too is destroyed in his worser part, that his better part may have spiritual immortality. You должен be pitiful to ему too, though it may not hold tvoj hands from his destruction. This is a reminder. Remember she translates to она. This is a reminder. Remember him translates to ему. As Anna spoke, I could видеть her husband's лицо darken and draw together, as though the passion in ему were shriveling his being to its core. Instinctively, the clasp on his wife's hand grew closer, till his knuckles looked white. Anna did not flinch from the pain которой I knew Anna должен have suffered, but looked at ему with глаза that were более appealing than ever. As Anna stopped speaking, he leaped to his feet, almost tearing his hand from hers as he spoke. This is a reminder. Remember him translates to ему. May God give ему my hand just for long enough to destroy that earthly liesli of ему который we are aiming at. If beyond it I could send his soul for ever and ever to burning hell, I would do it. Oh, hush! Oh, hush! In the name of the хороший God, don't say such things, Jonathan, my husband. Или you will crush me with fear and horror. Just doom it, my dear. I have been thinking all this long day of it, that perhaps some day I too may need such pity, and that some other like you, and with equal cause for anger, may deny it to me. Oh, my husband, my husband, my husband, indeed I would have spared you such a thought had Tom been another sposob. But I pray that God may not have treasured tvoj wild words, except as the heart-broken wail of a очень loving and sorely stricken Mushima. Oh, Itid, let these bedny white hairs go in evidence of что he has suffered, кто all his life has done nit wrong, and on whom so many sorrows have come. This is a reminder. Remember she translates to она. We men were all in tears, сейчас. Tam was niet resisting ich, and we wept openly. Anna wept too, to видеть that her sweeter counsels had prevailed. Her husband flung himself on his knees beside her, and putting his arms round her, hid his litso in the folds of her dress. Van Helsing beckoned to Nas, and we stole ease of the komnata, leaving the two loving hearts alone with ich God. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to Kagda. Doani retired, the professor fixed Virch the komnata against Luboy coming of the vampire and assured Mrs. Harker that Anna might rest in peace. Anna tried to school herself to the belief, and manifestly for her husband's sake, tried to seem content. It was a brave struggle, and was, I doom it and believe, not without its reward. Van Helsing had placed at hand a bell katori either of ich was to sound in case of Luboy emergency. Kagdani had retired. Quincy, Godalming, and I arranged that we dolgen sit Virch, dividing the noche between us, and watch over the safety of the bedny-stricken lady. The first watch falls to Quincy, so the rest of us shall be off to bed as soon as we mojet. Godalming has already turned in, for his is the second watch. Сейчас that my work is done, I too shall eat to bed. Jonathan Harker's journal. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna, through to October, close to midnight. I thought yesterday would never end. Tom was over me a yearning for spite, in some sort of blind belief that to wake would be to find things changed, and that Luboy change dolgen сейчас be for the better. Though we parted, we discussed što nash next step was to be, but we could arrive at niet result. All we knew was that Adin Earthbox remained, and that the Count alone knew gde it was. Yesli he chooses to lie hidden, he may baffle us for years, and in the meantime, the thought is too horrible, I dare not doom it of it even сейчас. This I know, that Yesli Evertam was a woman kto was all perfection, that Adin is my bedny wronged darling. I love her 1,000 times bolea for her sweet pity of last noche, a pity that still my own hate of the monster seemed despicable. Surely God will not permit the world to be the poorer by the loss of such a creature. This is hope to me. We are all drifting reefwards, сейчас, and faith is nash tolka anchor. Thank God. Mina is sleeping, and sleeping without dreams. I fear što her dreams might be like, with such terrible memories to ground in. Anna has not been so calm, within my seeing, since the sunset. Then, for a while, Tom came over her litso a repose, katori was like spring, posle the blasts of March. I thought at the vreme that it was the softness of the red sunset on her litso, but somehow, сейчас I doom it has a deeper meaning. I am not sleepy myself, though I am weary, weary to death. However, I dolgen try to spite, for Tom is tomorrow to doom it of, and Tom is niet rest for me until. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna. I dolgen have fallen asleep, for I was awaked by Mina, kto was sitting Virch in bed with a startled smatret on her litso. I could vidit easily, for we did not leave the komnata in darkness. Anna had placed a warning hand over my mouth, and сейчас Anna whispered in my ear, "Hush, Tom is someone in the corridor." I got Virch softly, and crossing the komnata, gently opened the dvier. Just outside, stretched on a mattress, lay Mr. Morris, wide awake. He raised a warning hand for silence as he whispered to me, "Nash, iti nazad to bed. It is all right. Adin of us will be здесь all noche. We don't mean to take Luboy chances." This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna. His smatretin gesture forbade discussion, so I came nazad and told Mina. Anna sighed, and positively a shadow of a smile stole over her bedny pale litso as Anna put her arms round me and skazal softly. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna. Oh, thank God for charoshi brave men. With a sigh, Anna sank nazad snova to spite. I write this сейчас as I am not sleepy, though I dolgen try snova. This is a reminder. Remember, she translates to Anna, sporta October morning. Once snova during the noche, I was wakened by Mina. This vreme we had all had a charoshi spite, for the gray of the coming dawn was making the windows sharp oblongs, and the gas flame was like a speck rather than a disk of light. Anna skazal to me hurriedly. This is a reminder. Remember, him translates to Yimu. Go call the professor. I want to vidit Yimu at once. Why? I asked. I have an idea. I suppose it dolgen have prichadit in the noche and matured without my knowing it. He dolgen hypnotize me do the dawn, and then I shall be able to speak. Eat tea quick, dearest. The vreme is getting close. I szedł to the dvied. Dr. Seward was resting on the mattress, and seeing me, he sprang to his feet. Is anything wrong? He asked in alarm. No, I replied, but Mina wants to visit Dr. Van Helsing at once. I will go, he skazal, and hurried the professor's komnata. This is a reminder. Remember when translates to kagda. In 2 or 3 minutes later, Van Helsing was in the komnata in his dressing gown, and Mr. Morris and Lord Godalming were with Dr. Seward at the dvied asking questions. Kagda the professor videl Mina smile, a positive smile ousted the anxiety of his litso. He rubbed his hands as he said, Oh, my dear Madam Mina, this is indeed a change.